Yeah, I feel alright. My groin feels good. I ran yesterday, which was the second time. There was no reaction today, which was really important. So rested today, done some work in the gym, and yeah, I feel good. So I'm happy.
In your absence, as you probably know, there have been a lot of rumours swirling about your future, linking you to other clubs, other countries.
Yeah.
This is the first time we've had a chance to talk to you. Can you tell us about where you see your future with Toronto FC?
Yeah, that's for me. It was something that was normal, to be honest. Like in my career, I've always been, especially when the transfer window opens. Doesn't matter what club I've been at. There's always seemed to be speculation around like my future and is he going to stay, is he going to go and stuff like that. So obviously for me, it was sort of like, here we go again sort of thing. It was just normal. I didn't really pay too much attention to it because I think my main focus was trying to get fit. The people that know me, they know I love playing football, and I find it really difficult to be on the sidelines, and when you can't play, and especially such a crucial time, pushing for the playoffs, and I wanna be involved. I wanna score goals. I wanna push the club forward. So I just try to just blank it out. Obviously, you see things on the TV. Social media is powerful, and you see things, but I just try to block it out and just concentrating on getting myself fit so I can come back and push for the playoffs.
Glad to be back.
Yeah, I'm happy to be back. I'm really happy that my groin feels good. I just want to get myself fit, get myself sharp, and like I tweeted, just looking forward to this playoff push because it's an exciting time. Fantastic win on the weekend for the boys, and just want to be back involved.
What's the timetable?
I think tomorrow again I'm running again, changing direction just to make sure there's no reaction to my groin, and hopefully I think I'll be back in full training on Monday, and just go from there. I had a good conversation with the manager yesterday for about 20 minutes, spoke about his ideas. I was really impressed, and just basically said, I'm ready to go. I feel good, and it's just a case of being patient because I always seem to try and rush back into training because I want to be involved, but a case of just being patient and make sure that when I get back into the team, hopefully I can just keep myself fit and have a good push from now to the end of the season.
Were you at any point close to joining another team?
Again, the speculation, I remember being at home, and obviously at the time, I only went home just to see just get a second opinion, basically, to see a physio that I've used throughout my whole career, because I was a little bit worried because I thought I had a hernia. With the symptoms I was getting, I was really restricted in my movement when I was playing games, and even in training, I was restricted. I couldn't really shoot. When I was turning, I could feel it. And I remember speaking to Ryan Nelson. I said, I think I've got a hernia. What do you think? And he just basically said, well, if you trust the physio back home, then go and see him, because Ryan said that he had the same problem as a player, and he carried on playing, and he got to a point where he broke down and he had to have an operation. So I just wanted to go home and just to get a second opinion and just take it from there. But just to answer your question, there was obviously speculation, about my future, the QPR thing. Again, that's out of my control because, if a club comes in for a player, then as a player, you sort of like sit back and you let the club deal with it. It's not my fault that a club comes in. And obviously, because the relationship I've had with Harry Redknapp over the years, so I can understand that, people look at that and they think, well, obviously it must be true or he must be leaving, but obviously nothing happened anyway. And in my heart, I didn't think anything was going to happen anyway, because obviously, I came here in March. For me, it's still early days, and it's a crucial time. Like I mentioned before, we're pushing for the playoffs. So in my heart, I couldn't really see me, getting sold to another football club. It just didn't make any sense.
Harry Redknapp told the BBC that he wanted to go. What conversation did you have with him? How did that?
He always says that. Harry always says that. I was with Harry. What people need to understand is that situation is different. I was with Harry when I was 16 at West Ham. He brought me to Portsmouth. Then he signed me back at Tottenham. So, even before the windows were open, sometimes he'll call me, and like I spoke to Harry 4 months ago. He said, "How's it going over there? You enjoying it?" I said, "Yeah." And he just said, "Obviously, you could come here on loan on the off season and keep yourself fit and sharp and help us to push up on the table, wherever they are in the table, and that was it. So obviously Harry's going to come out and say that because he knows that the relationship I got with him, he knows that I loved playing for him. But again, you know, Harry's saying that that's not in my control. If he's come out and said that, then there's nothing I can do.
Is that something that you want to explore in the off-season?
Obviously, it'd be something that's different, and you know, I understand that, you know, there's other players that have done it. Because I remember a couple of years back, obviously when I was at Tottenham, Robbie Keane came back, and you know, it was great to see him. He didn't actually play, but you know, he trained, and I think he went to, maybe a year before that, I think he went to Aston Villa. I think did well. So yeah, obviously it's something that I've thought about doing before I come back. So I'm ready to go, and I'm sharp and I'm fit. So yeah, but obviously with people, you know, if a manager comes out and says something like that, that's out of my control.
There was speculation when you were swirling. What do you have to say to the fans? Do you want to stay with this team in the long run?
Yeah, the thing is, obviously, I never came out anyway and said I wanted to leave. Obviously, there's going to be, like I mentioned before, in England, it's normal, where there's speculation about players leaving, players going. I've been in situations where I've been at clubs before, and there's players that are there, and you think, they must be leaving, and then they end up staying, and the fans are still supporting the player, because at the end of the day, I'm still a TFC player, and I'm totally committed to the cause. Even my first press conference, I said, you know, I want to come here and I want to get into the playoffs. I want to push the team and do something that's never been done before. Nothing's changed. Even more hungry now because, you know, I've been on the sideline for a few weeks. I've not played. It's been frustrating, especially reading things which isn't true. I remember reading something, you know, and it said that I text Ryan Nelson saying that, well, if you're gone, then I'm leaving also. That's not true, and that, again, that's hard to sit back and read something like that when I know that's not true. I would never do anything like that.
But yeah, do you expect to be back next season?
Yeah, well, again, that's out of my control. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen in the future, but all I can say to the fans is I'm fully committed. Looking forward to getting back and just looking forward to this playoff push.
Part of the problem we've seen with European players coming, it's not a new problem, is going from that European winter to a North American summer, not really having a pre-season. How has that affected your health in this first year in MLS?
Yeah, it's been difficult because I've more or less played 2 seasons. You know, it's like 14, 15 months straight without a rest. But again, I love my football, and I've always tried to look after my body. I'm someone who's teetotal. I don't drink. I always, you know, do my stuff in the gym. And try to look after myself to make sure that when I play and I perform, and I think I've done that. I think every time I've played, I've given it 100%, and I've managed to, you know, score a lot of goals, which is important for me and important for the team, and I've done things properly. So obviously it's been difficult, and I knew at some stage maybe I'll get little niggles here and there, but again, you try and monitor them as much as you can.
Tim Lywicki and Ryan Nelson, 2 of the people who brought you to the club, Jermain, one is gone and the other one is leaving at some point. I know you can't control the executive structure of the club, but were you disappointed to hear that those 2 were leaving?
Yeah, obviously I was disappointed, and I think that's only natural because obviously I spoke to Ryan Nelson on numerous occasions before I came, and he just basically said, you know, it's a fantastic city, you know, it's a good football club, a club that, you know, is going to go places, and you know, they can get anyone and they want you. Straight away I was honoured, and you know, I sat back with my family and said, well, you know, it's a great opportunity. Obviously, you know, with the manager not being here anymore, Ryan not being here, and Tim coming out and saying he's leaving, obviously it's disappointing, but it's not something that's not, you know, it's happened before. You know, I've been at clubs before. I remember I was at Tottenham, and Jack Santini was the manager, and he left after 4 months. As a player, you just have to get on with it. The most important thing is, you know, being professional, playing for the football club and getting results. You know, managers coming and going, that's part and parcel. There's nothing we can do as players, but just to be professional and just get on with it.
You were on about Greg Bailey, you know, and his philosophy. Is this something that you think might suit you a little bit more? Greg seems to be much more attacking-minded and getting forward a lot more. Will that help your game more with that type of philosophy?
I think so. I spoke to the manager, and he just basically said that he wants to play high tempo. He wants the players to move the ball quick. I think training's been a lot harder, speaking to some of the players, which is good. And especially watching the highlights over the weekend, I think spells of the game, I think all the stuff that the boys did in training in terms of the movement and moving the ball quick and getting crosses in, it was spot on the weekend, and they managed to get the goals. But I'm just really looking forward to getting back into training and just really getting the feel of things and just getting back onto the pitch.
Have you scored goals when you've been healthy? Have you enjoyed your North American experience? Is it what you expected it to be?
Yeah, it's been amazing, and I think I'm lucky enough to be at a fantastic football club with special fans. I've said that many times, and with special people. There's some fantastic people at the football club. From day one, I walked into the change rooms. The players downstairs, all the boys have been fantastic, and I think that helped me settle in and sort of like, I felt at home. And then it's just down to me to get on the pitch and perform. And I love scoring goals. I love playing football, and as I keep saying, I just want to just get back onto the pitch and I suppose just give it everything and hopefully get into the playoffs, because I think if we do that, it'll be something special.
There are 6 games left. You won't play this weekend, I assume, so that makes it 5 games left. You talked about the patience versus desire to get back on the field, but you have to manage your body. Clearly, by the time you get back, the pressure will have ramped up yet again with the points necessary if this team's going to make the playoffs. How do you approach that as a player and to protect your body to allow it to do what it does?
Well, obviously from now, I think these next 6 games, every game's a cup final now. Games that we have to win. It's not going to be easy, but I think if you want to achieve anything special, there comes a moment like this where you have to perform. Everyone has to stick together, and you have to give it everything. And I'm just hopefully we get the result that we need on the weekend. I'll be there supporting the boys, and hopefully I'll get back into the team and I'm able to play at the level that I know I can, and hopefully get chances and score goals and push the team, like I keep saying. So I'm looking forward to it, but it's not going to be easy. But I believe that we can do it because we've got a strong squad. All the players are hungry. All the players look really sharp in training. I watch training, look really bright, and everyone looks sharp and hungry. So I think all the players, they understand now how important these next 6 games are. But it's important to take each game as a time, and then we see what happens.
Have you had a chance to speak with Tim Lewicki since his remarks were recorded about a couple of weeks ago, saying, as the reports were swirling about the transfer stuff, and basically said, if you don't want to be here, get the hell out of our way. Have you had a chance to speak with them?
No, Tim sent me a message, basically saying it was sort of like he didn't mean it like that, because at the end of the day, Tim knows what sort of character and what sort of person I am. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here in the first place. I've been at football clubs. I was at Tottenham 10 years, never had a problem, never fell out of a manager or a chairman or any player. And yeah, it's the same here. I'm sure one day when I actually leave this football club, people will turn around and say, he was a great lad, he's a nice boy, and he's a nice person that just loves his football. And yeah, but Tim sent me a message. I've got respect for Tim. He's the person that brought me here. He's a great guy. And yeah, what can I say?
Do you have any regrets about signing a 4-year deal as opposed to a shorter term contract?
No, not at all, because you shouldn't. I don't really regret many things in life. Sometimes you even if you sign a 2-year deal and say you sign 2 years and it's been unbelievable, then you might sign an extension. But I suppose to get an opportunity to sign 4 years at a place where there's changes and to be a part of something special and be a part of achieving something special, for me it was fantastic, and I wanted to do that.
What about the expectations you put on? What about the expectations you put on yourself? You've been here 6 months. You clearly wanted to go to the World Cup with England. That didn't happen. You've had injury frustrations as well. You haven't played as much as you would have wanted to. How do you assess your contribution as a footballer over the last 6 months?
Over the last 6 months, I think with the games that I've played, I've scored a lot of goals, and I've been happy about that. And obviously, you're only as good as your team. You're only as good as your teammates. Obviously, I couldn't do it without the team, without my team, without the boys, because at the end of the day, as a forward, you rely on the chances you've been given, and I've been lucky enough to play in a good team where I'm going to get chances. managed to score goals, but it's been at times it's been frustrating. But I think as a professional, that's normal. You're gonna get times during the season where you pick up little injuries and you're not able to play, and you sort of like have to sit back and watch the team, which is always hard. But I've always been someone that's always been professional. I've always done things right, and even when I get injuries, I always come back really quick. And hopefully this time when I come back, I won't have any problems.
What is the exact injury? What have doctors told you had?
Well, I had a scan, and the first initial scan, they said I had a problem in my adductor, a strain in my lower abdominal muscle. So I carried on playing, wasn't getting any better, and it got to the point where even when I was running, I could feel it, and then when I was shooting, it was really sore. So I spoke to the doc and had another scan. Again, it showed the same, and then we thought it was a hernia. And then I spoke to Ryan, like I mentioned before, and I said, this is what I'm getting. Do you think I've got a hernia? He said, well, go back and speak to a few specialists, and I did that. And I was a day away from getting an operation. It's not something that I wanted to do because, from what I understand, if I would have had the operation, then maybe I would have probably played only 2 games for the season. So I went to a physio who I've worked with for a number of years, and basically just said that all the problems were coming from my hip, and I had a course of injections which took a couple of weeks, and at that time I was doing rehab and strengthening and core work, and it feels a lot better, and now I'm at the stage where I can run, and hopefully tomorrow I can twist and turn and won't have any problems then, and then straight back into training. So yeah, it feels really good.
So would you have the operation in the off season? Would you have the operation in the off season?
No, if I needed the operation, I would have had it done. I would have had it done straight away because it's a minor operation, but something that you would have to do to start training, because the way I felt, I didn't feel like I could play.
Thanks, guys.